Hello, fourth graders. Welcome to Chapter 6 Review, Part 1 of 4. We are going to take a look today at the idea of putting fractions into simplest form. Please stop the videotape and write down this definition of simplest form, which means the numerator and the denominator no longer share a common factor. Again, make sure you write this definition down. Here is a fraction in its simplest form, 2/5. If I look at the numerator and I look at the denominator, 2 and 5, I know that they no longer share factors. One reason I know, which is not always the case, is that both numbers are prime numbers, meaning they only have one and the number itself is factors. The only way to make 2 is 1 times 2. The only way to make 5 is 1 times 5. Although they share the factor of 1, I cannot reduce it anymore because if I divide both by 1, I'll still end up with the same fraction. As you can see here, divide by 1, divide by 1, that will give me 2/5. So their only common factor is 1. Perhaps we should add to this definition. Other than ONE. The numerator and the denominator no longer share a common factor other than 1. Right? Okay, so let's take a look at a fraction that is not in simplest form. 4/6. Right away, I know I have two even numbers. The numerator is even, the denominator is even. I know they at least have a common factor of 2. 2 times 2 makes 4, 2 times 3 makes 6, which means I can simplify this fraction by dividing both the numerator and the denominator by 2. 4 divided by 2 is 2. 6 divided by 2 is 3. 2 and 3 only share a factor of 1, therefore 2/3 is in simplest form. What about 24/32? Let's see. They must share a common factor. I know that they share at least a factor of 2 because they're both even numbers. So, you know what? I'm going to start with 2. Divide by 2. Divide by 2. That's going to give me 24 divided by 2 is 12. 32 divided by 2 is 16. Oh, when I look at that though, 12 and 16, those are both even numbers too. I think I can divide by 2 again. I end up with 6/8. Oh my goodness. I think I can divide by 2 again. They're both even. And I know 6/8 is not in simplest form. Now, it doesn't mean the only fractions we simplify are fractions that have an even numerator and denominator. They could be divisible by some other number. Let's see, 6 divided by 2 is 3. 8 divided by 2 is 4. 3/4. I believe that's in simplest form. 3 is a prime number. The only factors are 1 and 3. And 3 is not a factor of 4. 2 times 2. They don't share a common factor other than 1. Therefore, 3/4 is in simplest form. Now, I want to go back to this. Sometimes it's easier to recognize the greatest common factor. When I think of 24 and 32, I think 8 is a factor of both of those. In fact, I think it's the greatest common factor, meaning the common factor that they share that is the greatest number. Okay, so let's see. If 8 is the greatest common factor, we'll get 3/4 as our answer. So let's try it. Divide by 8. Divide by 8. I know that 8 times 3 makes 24, and 8 times 4 makes 32. So 24 divided by 8 is 3. And 32 divided by 8 is 4. Aha! We ended up with the very same simplified form in one step rather than 3. And I know it's in simplest form. Okay, let's try some more. Okay, here we go. 15/21. Well, I'm thinking of factors. Remember, factors and multiples, don't get them mixed up. What makes 15 that also makes 21 in multiplication? Well, I know 1 times 15, 3 times 5. 3 times 5 makes 15. 3 times 7 makes 21. Therefore, I don't think there's a greater common factor, because 5 is definitely not a factor of 21. So I'm going to divide by 3 and divide by 3, and I will get 5/7. Oh, those are 2 primes. I know I cannot simplify that anymore. Therefore, 5/7 is its simplest form. Okay, so I want you to solve the rest of these on your own. Try to use the greatest common factor. In other words, when you look at 36/48, I know you could divide them both by 2, but you won't be finished there, and you'll need to have to keep going. So see if you can find the greatest common factor that 36 and 48 share. So you only have to simplify this in one step. And as I'm talking, I realized I made a mistake over here. Oops. Fixing that now. There you go. Okay, so anyways, good luck. And remember, we have our test next Wednesday. This is a very important test, simplifying fractions, finding equivalent fractions, finding common denominators are all very important for you to know well. This is going to be with you for many years to come, so we need to get this down. Our test is on Wednesday. We will review tomorrow, Monday, and Tuesday. And for those of you watching this video on a different time, if you're in Miss Brewers or Miss Kennedys, I apologize if I'm confusing you with the dates. Okay, I will see you later.